I'm talking about the diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, the different types of NPD, and what causes this mental disorder. With so many people self-identifying or diagnosing others as narcissists, at the end of this video, I am going to give you 3 clues to help you identify whether someone, including you, has high narcissistic traits or tendencies. But I do want to say that only general practitioners, psychologists, and psychiatrists can actually diagnose someone with a mental disorder such as NPD. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope you find this information helpful. And if you do, please like, share, and subscribe. I post new videos every week, so hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. And this video is for educational purposes only, so if you are in need of support, please reach out to a mental health professional in your area. While it is generally agreed that between 1% and 5% of the population have NPD, some research suggests that these numbers might be much higher. So narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by a need for attention and admiration, unstable interpersonal relationships, a lack of empathy for others, and an inflated sense of self-importance. Now, someone may not quite meet the diagnostic criteria for NPD, but still have high levels of narcissistic traits, and this person's behavior can still be very damaging. But the extent and extreme of their destructive behavior will depend on the type of narcissist they are and where they fall on the narcissism spectrum. If we think of narcissism as a psychological trait that we all possess to some degree, we can think of it on a continuum, the same way as we think of IQ. If you've ever taken an IQ test, you know that it is broken down into several subtests that measure your intellectual abilities in areas like memory, abstract thinking, reasoning, processing speed, and so on. For narcissism, the subtests include things like grandiosity, lack of empathy, self-centeredness, attention and admiration seeking, a sense of entitlement, exploitation of others, sensitivity to criticism, unstable sense of self, and impairments in interpersonal functioning. As with IQ, most people who take the test would fall within a certain range that is considered normal or average. The same would be true with narcissism. However, certain people who score at the higher end of the scales would fall outside of the normal range, but even if they were higher than normal, they still may not meet the diagnostic criteria for NPD, which, according to the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, also known as the DSM, they must meet all of the diagnostic criteria. So this criteria, number 1, is a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, which means they are consistently believing and acting like they are special, unique, or superior. And number 2, they have a persistent need for admiration. And they also, number 3, have a lack of empathy, which means they are unable to affectively understand the feelings or distress of others. In addition to the pervasive pattern of grandiosity, the need for admiration, and the lack of empathy, the person must also consistently display at least 5 out of the 9 criteria that I'm about to mention. And these patterns also have to have started before early adulthood and must be consistently present over time and in a variety of contexts. So if all of this is present and they also show 5 or more of these characteristics that I'm about to say, then someone qualified to diagnose them may do so. So number 1, they have that grandiose sense of self-importance, which is an exaggerated sense of their talents, and they want to be recognized as superior, even though they don't necessarily have the achievements to match. Second thing, they're preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, love, beauty. Number 3, they believe that they are unique and can only be understood by, or should even associate with, other special or high status people. Number 4, they require that excessive admiration. Number 5, that sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectations of that they deserve favorable treatment. Number 6 is that they are interpersonally exploitative. They exploit people. They take advantage of others to achieve their own goals. 7, they lack empathy. They are unwilling to recognize or identify the needs and feelings of others. Number 8, they're often envious of others and believe that others are envious of them. Number 9, they show arrogance and haughty behavior. Haughty means proud, conceited, self-important. So as you can see, there are several conditions that must be met before someone can be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. And like I said before, someone doesn't have to be diagnosed with NPD or meet the diagnostic criteria in order for their narcissistic traits to be damaging to others or to render them incapable of having healthy relationships. It is generally agreed that there are 2 types of narcissists: the grandiose narcissist and the vulnerable narcissist. These 2 types of narcissism have very different presentations, but they also have commonalities. And what they have in common include this grandiose sense of entitlement, thinking and acting like they are the center of the universe, lacking empathy, and having a high need for admiration, as well as that exploitative and manipulative behavior that is consistent across a variety of different contexts. They also both struggle in interpersonal relationships and have very little sense of personal accountability. But where the grandiose and the vulnerable narcissists differ can be confusing. Until recently, most people associated narcissists with the grandiose type. Someone who is boastful, arrogant, loud, insensitive, vain, extroverted, and crushing anyone or anything that gets in the way of getting what they want. And those needs that they have for superiority, success, wealth, status, or whatever else, they will take from others. The vulnerable narcissist is not like that. And so when people encounter a vulnerable narcissist and they have that image of the grandiose narcissist in their mind, they think, well, this person can't be a narcissist because they're so different. So where the grandiose narcissist is extroverted, meaning they get energized by people and have this high need for social interaction, the vulnerable narcissist is introverted and often holds disdain for people. The grandiose narcissist is more resistant to criticism, where the vulnerable narcissist is extremely sensitive to all forms of criticism. Where the grandiose narcissist is usually optimistic and fun, at least in short bursts and before you've heard the same braggy stories 100 times. The vulnerable narcissist, on the other hand, is the big black cloud of the party. They're usually pessimistic, cynical, defensive, resentful, anxious, and whiny, and they're really not a lot of fun to be around, except in the beginning of the relationship. Also, the grandiose narcissist is less emotional than the vulnerable narcissist. It is rare to see real emotion from a grandiose narcissist other than anger, jealousy, and envy. But the vulnerable narcissist can be very emotional as they ruminate on all of their victim stories. Both can be defensive and argumentative and hostile, but the vulnerable narcissist is a lot more prone to holding grudges and being resentful. So you can see that the differences between the 2 types of narcissists are pretty drastic. So it can make it hard to recognize the vulnerable narcissist because they just come across as someone who is shy, reserved, anxious, depressed. And it's not until you spend some time with them that you start to see the narcissistic traits and how they take until they've drained you of all of your mental and emotional resources. Sometimes even your financial resources, and always your energy. Although no one knows exactly what causes NPD, it is generally recognized that both genetics and one's early learning and experiences play a significant role in the development of narcissistic personality disorder. For example, experiences in childhood such as rejection, abandonment, neglect, and abuse can contribute, as well as parenting styles where kids are put on a pedestal and praised excessively without teaching them about responsibility, respect for others, setting limits. And these things are also believed to be a potential cause of NPD. Recent research has found evidence that there is a biological basis for this disorder. One recent study showed smaller gray matter volume in the left anterior insula, as well as smaller gray matter volume in other parts of the brain, including the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for executive functions such as judgment, impulse control, and planning. Currently, there is no cure for NPD and no proven treatments. However, long-term therapy can help someone with NPD develop skills to better regulate their moods and emotions and to learn how to meet their needs in more productive ways that are less harmful to the people around them. But are they ever going to develop true empathy if their brain isn't wired for it? No, but at least they can learn to be less harmful, which is huge. So as promised, I want to give you 3 clues to help you identify whether you or someone you know is more narcissistic than most. Number 1, if you're self-identifying as a narcissist, meaning you're not diagnosed by someone else, you likely are not a narcissist, because narcissists lack self-awareness and rarely accept that they are a narcissist even when diagnosed. Number 2, if you have empathy for others, you can feel and care about other people's situations and pain, then narcissism doesn't fit. Number 3, you are constantly seeking attention, admiration, and making everything about you. So when someone's talking to you, maybe you're not even listening, or if you are, you're just turning it around and making it about what you experienced or what you want or what you need. For more information on how to identify or cope with someone with NPD, please check out my Narcissistic Personality Disorder playlist. And if you like this video, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel.